Welcome to That's Rad Life, Love, and Wedding Planning in the Pacific Northwest, where our goal is to educate and elevate. I am Radhika, planner and owner of Radications, and today I am joined by Andrew from Twist of Fate Cocktails, a mobile cocktail company in Victoria, BC. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Rad. Nice to see you today.
And can you share where you're joining us from and your pronouns?
Yeah. I am coming from my home here, kind of in the View Royal area. My pronouns are he, him, and yeah, just really happy to be here. Yeah, nice
Yeah,
to.
I know I've been trying to get you guys since the last season, and it's just been so busy. But finally did the smart thing and started recording this outside of wedding season.
Yeah, totally. It's tough to coordinate schedules, and I know my partner Sarah would love to be here as well. But yeah, she's a teacher full time, so she's at work today, and I'm kind of doing my thing from home as I normally am.
Well, I really appreciate it. So, for anyone who's listening that's unfamiliar with Twist of Fate, can you share more about your journey and what it is that you offer?
Yeah. So we've been doing this for over 9 years now. We're still really the only like all-inclusive event bartending service on Vancouver Island. So what that means is right from day one, we built our own bars. We specialize in cocktails, and we make all of our own cocktail ingredients from scratch. And we bring everything from like glassware to ice to garnishes, bar tools, a great team of staff, and really focus on just providing a really premium but approachable event service. And yeah, we take a lot of pride in kind of being part of the show, being part of the entertainment, really like engaging in an authentic way with the guests, so that we're providing professional service, but we're doing so in a way that engages people and makes it a little bit more fun.
That's fantastic. And I know two of the bars are named Rocky and Bullwinkle. How did you decide
Yeah,
on that?
those were our first two. I I don't exactly remember how the names came to be. Obviously, it's like a cartoon from, I don't know, the 90s, I would say probably. And so like the first bar that we built is Bullwinkle, like the moose, big, quite a showpiece, very memorable if you ever see that bar in action. And then Rocky is the smaller kind of sidekick. They go well together, but they also do events on their own. And then the third bar that we built, she's called Elsie. She's all white, like a marble countertop, kind of in between the sizes of Rocky and Bullwinkle. She's about 7 feet long. And then my mom actually named her after like a childhood friend that lived on a farm, because there's a bit of like a barn door look to the front of Elsie. So my mom got to name her, partially because we often keep the bars in her garage, so she had naming right for that one. And then our most recent bar that we've built is Wally, made of walnut. So a little less of a creative story behind that one, but a beautiful kind of smaller size bar as well. So yeah, that's the story of our 4 bars. We built them for aesthetics, but mostly the reason that we built them is because we want to be able to provide like really efficient, fast cocktail service. And because we're making like unique, high quality cocktails, we need a lot of the elements that full on cocktail bars have. So like things like a speed rail, an ice well that's built in. We've got our own ladder shelves that we use as back bars for our glassware storage. All the bars have like storage underneath the bar. Bullwinkle, the biggest one, has overhead lighting that's built in. So they're really meant to be very useful. So the aesthetic piece is important, but really the key to providing really fast service for big groups of people is having those built-in elements.
Oh, definitely. And I notice a big difference when we rent a bar versus using one of your bars. Yours are definitely meant for making sure there's no long lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I know you already mentioned Sarah briefly. Can you tell
hmm
me more about how the two of you got started in the business? Did you always see this kind of business in your future?
Yeah, good question. We kind of met working together, and then when this idea came to be, we were looking to kind of just start something of our own. There was no real businesses providing a service like this on the island. I actually we had both worked in hospitality at the time, and I was in contact with some of the local wedding planners. especially Barb Walker. I'll give her a little shout out. She was a planner that I worked with lots, and there was no one who was doing it. So she was quite instrumental in encouraging that the industry could really use a service like this. And yeah, that was kind of part of the catalyst for starting Twist. We never really like, it's funny looking back at like kind of business plans that we had when we started out, which clearly just showed we had no idea like how big it would get, like kind of the size of events. We had original plans on like how much glassware we would need, and by the time we booked our first event, we kind of had crumpled that up and tossed it over our shoulder because we just it grew a lot faster than we had expected, kind of right away. So yeah, pleasant surprise. It didn't we didn't necessarily think that it would be like a full-time kind of operation, but it became that way pretty immediately. And I've been working full-time with Twist ever since it started, and she kind of started like she's been more of a part-time role, but we've had to add a bunch more members to the team to do different tasks, from social media to bookkeeping to running events for us. And of course, like we've got a big team that comes out and works the events with us as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Humble beginnings, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm going to touch on the pandemic. I know we don't want to talk about it because we all wish it didn't happen, but I know that we all had to think outside the box. And I love that you guys did the cocktail option to go. And you had
Hmm.
the classes, I think, too, right? Did
Yeah,
you
yeah.
already have that in development, or was it a solution to a problem?
Yeah, absolutely a solution to a problem. We were pretty smacked in the face by the pandemic from a business perspective, and obviously everyone was affected personally, and a lot of people's health was affected. Yeah, we were forced to be operating an events business in a time where events were illegal. So we definitely knew that we needed to do something to keep revenue coming in. And so we pivoted pretty quickly to creating the cocktail cordials, which yeah, we their original name was curbside cocktails when we were just delivering them door to door as an essential service, really, because people weren't even really allowed to go outside much for a time being. Um, it's weird to think about now. To think back, it almost feels
Yeah.
surreal, some of the things that were in place,
Another
but
lifetime.
yeah, absolutely. But yeah, so we started delivering them curbside. We already had all these great recipes, and people were in the need of a good cocktail, so we were delivering them door to door, and we were doing like hundreds of deliveries a week, to the point where we had like a team of drivers, which was mostly like our family and friends, going out and doing deliveries for us as well, because it's impossible to deliver 100 cocktails in a day. And then yeah, we were teaching some cocktail training. We have a program that we've had since the start called Cocktail 101, where we teach people about cocktail history and some fun facts and origin stories, and then take them through a cocktail making competition. And so we kind of pivoted to doing that a bit online. I think you actually, back in our early days, you came to one of our cocktail 101s.
Yeah. It
Yeah.
was a lot of fun. I really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good time. So yeah, we kind of did that in an online format when people were doing lots of things virtually. And that was another good way of getting people together. And then also providing a little bit of entertainment and some tips for making good cocktails at home.
And you've discontinued that since, right? The curbside cocktails?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We for a time we were delivering, or we were selling them in some stores locally as well. But then once events came back in full swing, we decided that that was really what we love to do. So we put all of our energy and focus into doing events, and we've never been busier, not even close to the how we've been over the last 3 years or so since the pandemic.
And it's all about bringing people together. So it makes more sense to
Yeah.
go back to your roots.
Exactly. Events are
So
always such a good time, and
they
um,
are.
a little
There's
more
so
fun
many
than
fun
prepping.
stories.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
What's the most challenging setup you've had to have? Like, what has the bar been set up that you were like, oh my gosh, why did we agree to this?
Yeah. That's a good question. A couple come to mind. Some that were just like in the middle of the forest, like on like a hillside. Um, and we once had to build a stage for Bullwinkle for our biggest bar. And to give you an idea of the scope, he's like 14 feet long and like 10 feet deep. It's in a big kind of U shape, and the whole bar probably weighs, I don't know, 500 pounds, something like that. And so we had to build like a stage underneath him because there was such a downhill slope. Wouldn't have been possible to actually like build him in place. So yeah, building a stage in the forest was an interesting one. Another fun one was we set him up underneath like a fighter pilot's wing, or like a fighter plane,
Oh,
like a
yeah.
little small plane in like an airplane hangar. That wasn't all that difficult because it was flat and the load in was easy enough, but it was the first time we've been under a plane's wing. And then there was like a live performance by the Canadian band The Beaches at that event as well. So that was a fun one.
Yeah, you guys probably see a lot of interesting takes on any kind of event.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've done all kinds of stuff. We've done like little private dinners for 12 people to events over 500 on many occasions, lots of incredible galas and fundraisers that we're proud to support and raise money for great local charities. Yeah, celebrity
Yeah.
stuff, professional athlete stuff, all kinds of things.
Yeah. So I'm going to just change gears a little bit here with the sustainability aspect. Was that always something that was a focus for you, or was that something that came later on?
I mean, I think always it's a priority. Sarah and I are both lovers of the outdoors. We care a lot about the impact we make on the planet, and we want to kind of minimize any waste or unnecessary use of plastics as much as we can. We've always been a company that just doesn't offer things like straws or like a cocktail napkin to go underneath your glass, which like I'm sure some people might appreciate that every once in a while, but those immediately kind of just go right into the garbage. And I think it's worth it. And from our perspective, when we're doing hundreds of events, inconveniencing someone like a small fraction by not offering a cocktail napkin times 10,000 cocktails, that makes a pretty massive difference.
Definitely. And with that too, I know you try to source a lot of your ingredients locally too.
Yeah. I mean, we make all of our ingredients that we can from scratch, so we're not buying a bunch of packaging and things like that, because we're making so much of it ourselves. As well, like, we use glassware rather than disposables, and then we definitely support um, local distilleries and breweries and wineries as well. You can get all kinds of incredible spirits that are made on Vancouver Island or in BC that are as good as um, anything you can get anywhere else in the world. So it's great to support the local economy and also, not buy things that are shipped across the world when we can make great cocktails with what we have that's made around here.
So do you develop your recipes keeping that in mind, or do you
100%.
uh,
Yeah.
take some, yeah, and do you take any feedback from your clients in that? Like if they're like really set on a specific brand, for example?
Yeah, especially with something like wine, people can be very particular about what wine they enjoy. So I would say, like, if somebody really is passionate about a California Chardonnay and need that at their, maybe even just for their mom at their wedding or something like that, we're absolutely fine with that. But yeah, most people aren't that picky. So we make recommendations for beer and wine, and we're a little bit more particular with the cocktails. But again, if somebody really wants a spirit that has some meaning to them for either a highball option or to be incorporated into one of the featured cocktails, we're absolutely flexible with that. But typically we have our own feature menus that we've developed over the years that are all seasonal. And we do tastings with our wedding client. And they have an opportunity to choose a few cocktails from our menu, pick the ones that they would like to be their feature cocktails for the couple, and then it works out pretty well because they've been tested many a time and it always goes over well.
So when you're developing your recipes, do you start from what you prefer or what you've seen in your hospitality backgrounds that was really popular?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, each cocktail kind of has its own story. Some have been on our menu since like the first menu that we've developed, and we've just kind of tweaked it over the years. And we've done staff events where we're testing out a bunch of recipes and seeing what's most popular. We've even done like some of our cocktails on our menu now were kind of special requests from clients to like based on a certain flavor profile, and we created something and the clients loved it and we loved it, so we kept it on the menu. It's definitely like there's some kind of classic variations, but then the vast majority are just ideas that have come through Twist and just are the product of kind of our own invention.
That's fantastic. So do you find that that is like the big difference between Twist and other companies, or is there something else that you feel like sets you apart?
Yeah, I think to my knowledge, like there isn't really anyone else on the island who has kind of like a full curated cocktail menu of their own that they can offer for events. And there's other companies that like if you ask for a dark and stormy or a margarita or something like that, they can offer that. But I don't think there's quite as much variety and creativity behind other. And then yeah, I think the big difference is there's some great like trailer bars and that sort of thing, but we can be really versatile about the types of events we do because we can bring our bars inside, outside, into the middle of forests, into, farmers' fields, into event spaces, and then bringing all the glassware and providing the full service is really something that kind of sets us apart.
I want to touch on the non-alcoholic part because I think that is something that
Yeah.
really, in my experience, sets you guys apart because I haven't really come across a mobile bar company that caters to that as much because we're seeing like a whole sober curious movement now.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It is such a huge part of the industry now, and which we fully support. When we started, almost a decade ago, it wasn't really as much kind of on people's radars, but it really is now, which, yeah, people are making health conscious decisions. Drinking and driving obviously is a big part of the equation. And I think people just want something that is still delicious and like well crafted without alcohol or even with low alcohol. So yeah, the vast majority of the cocktails on our menu can be altered to make a zero proof option. A few just aren't because they're like, basically pure like spirits of some sort, like a martini style or a Negroni style cocktail. So not as suitable, but yeah, the vast majority. I mean, we always make sure that we have at least one feature cocktail that is zero proof at all of our events. And then we bring our own locally sourced, like colas and sodas that give people another option. And yeah, we always have lots of options if people are not interested in alcohol for that round.
And aside from there being more people who want non-alcoholic drinks, have you found anything else has changed in the industry since you started?
Hmm. I mean, the vendors have a lot. The people that we work with have changed, and there's some really cool things going on, like new things, new venues, and yeah. So there's always lots of surprises in terms of kind of people that are new to the scene or new technologies. But yeah, I would say that would be my main difference that I've noticed. Is kind of just a bit of a changing of the guard.
That's fair. I know there's been a lot of people doing this even a lot longer than you and I that have
Yeah, for
recently
sure.
left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And in that note too, do you ever feel like you could do this forever or you think like you're gonna have to slow down at some point?
Yeah, I mean, I love the event part of it, part of the role, like, that's all that people really see me as, but I'm doing I do all of our client engagement and all the contracts and admin and quoting, and I'm involved in the prep pretty heavily for our ingredients, and we use a commissary kitchen, and so I'm kind of involved in everything twist related. And the events are the parts that's most taxing because we're working often from, mid morning till 2 a.m., something like that. But those are also the most fun part. So I would never want to be in a position where I'm running the company, but I don't get to do the fun part, which is like be a part of the amazing energy and at incredible parties and like offering cocktails that blow people away and seeing all the joy that is going around the vibe of the event. So yeah, I see Twist being around for a long, long time in terms of my own role within it. I don't know if that my plan is to stay exactly in this role, but I certainly want to see Twist and be at Twist events for a long time into the future.
Hey, who knows? Maybe you'll franchise.
It's true that has come up in many discussions over the years.
Yeah. So you mentioned being there till 2 a.m. What wild stories can you share with me?
Yeah, I mean, there's been some NDAs over the years, so I can't disclose everything that has happened at events, but yeah, I mean, there's been like wild ones from like a massive oak tree, like literally falling onto the like tent and right behind our bar, like 45 minutes before the ceremony was supposed to start. And that was a crazy one. And luckily it
Wow.
happened when it did, because if it had happened later in that day, people could have been seriously harmed, because it like crushed the tent and like went through long wooden tables and destroyed like 3 of our coolers and like hundreds of our pieces of glassware. Literally, like our bar, our ladder shelf, and the part of the tree was right back
Wow.
behind that and on a bunch of our stuff. And we still managed, like, the team came together, we still managed to have the ceremony on time, provide our full services, like, dinner happened as planned, it was amazing, just, like, showed the resiliency and, like, the ability for everyone in the industry to, like, think on the fly, make fast changes. Disaster literally struck, and we still managed to pull that off as a team. So that was a wild one. It actually really happened that one of our employees on shift, her partner was a tree faller, and he was there with a chainsaw like half an hour after the tree fell and was like cutting up, like splitting up the tree, clearing it. It was amazing. So that was incredible. And then yeah, from more of a fun side, there was this, maybe my favorite wedding that I've ever been a part of was up in Parksville, and the ceremony and kind of dinner part of the event was at a home on the water, and but then the late night party was at like an airplane hangar, not the same one I was referring to earlier, but they just like turned the whole thing into basically a rave, and there was like some professional hockey players there, and like podcast type celebrities, and it was just like the most, maybe it was one of the most fun events that I've ever had a chance to be at. There was like a massive balloon drop that filled the place. There was like a dome that people were hanging out inside. We did a big champagne tower, and the bride was like ecstatic about the champagne tower. She actually ended up pouring a full bottle of champagne over her own head, well on somebody else's shoulders. So it was that kind of vibe. It was it was a lot of fun. It was one of the few where, so like our services, like due to insurance, end at midnight. And it was one of the few times that we were like encouraged to stay and enjoy the party as guests for a little while after that, which basically has never happened at any of our other events. But it was like such an incredible atmosphere, and it was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, you guys frequent airplane hangars, something I didn't know.
Yeah, we've done
Yeah.
like a surprising number of airplane hangar events. Um, it's just, yeah, one of those things you
Yeah,
don't expect.
definitely. The thing about the tree, that's like one of those things that you just can't plan for. You can plan for a lot of things, but that is not one of them.
Yeah, it really was not. But that's kind of the nature of events industry. You need to be able to really problem solve and just pivot and shift and go with the flow. And
Yeah,
yeah, not
definitely.
be super sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, I'm just agreeing with you.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, you gotta be flexible.
for sure. So, this is my favorite question. Do you have any common myths in your industry that you want to debunk today?
One, okay, just one fun one that comes to mind is that Caesars are ever a good idea at weddings. They're not.
A lot of ingredients.
There's so many ingredients. Like we love doing complex, unique cocktails. Caesars, people are often say like, "Oh, you know, we love Caesars. We'd love to have them as a feature cocktail." You never want really like more than one Caesar, and you need like 8 ingredients that are not used in any other drink. So they're just not a great idea. I would say just leave your Caesars for brunch. It's always nice to, have one the day after the wedding. I think that's a
Yeah,
better plan.
definitely. Anything else come to mind?
I don't think so. Nothing springs to mind for real myths. I just think that like the bar, I think people never regret having a fun bar. Um
Hmm.
it's you can like have a glass of wine anytime. It's not hard to make a gin and tonic, but like when you have really cool cocktails that can like express some of your personality or are like mementos of places that you've been or just, things that you really love. Maybe you have a garden that showcases like some fresh fruit and herbs and we can incorporate some of those into your cocktail, stuff like that. They can really be part of the story. So for people who appreciate the culinary side of life, you're really never gonna regret having some interesting things back behind your bar.
For sure. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Andrew. I'm going to wrap this up with a quick game that I made just for you. It's
Oh,
called
fun.
Guess the Woe. So I'm going to give you 5 customer profiles and I want you to recommend the drink you would pour for them.
Okay.
All right. So
That
the
is a
first
board
one,
game.
the first one is somebody who is just engaged.
Okay. Can I go just like strictly off our own cocktail menu?
Of course.
Okay, great. Okay. So I'm gonna go just recently engaged. So like bubbly comes to mind for sure. Something like fresh and like bright and exciting, kind of like spring like. I feel like lots of engagements happen in spring. So I'm gonna go with the French 85, which is Sheringham rhubarb gin liqueur, strawberry, lime, prosecco, and a little garnish of mint.
I like that. All right. Having a baby.
Having a baby, tough one. I'm not sure whether to go zero alcohol, which is maybe the responsible choice, or like high alcohol, which is like we, there's nerves involved.
I mean, the person who's not pregnant can have the high alcohol drink.
It's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go with proper etiquette, which is a fun name. It's a cocktail that it was one of the original ones on the menu, but we've made some tweaks over the years. So it can be made really nicely zero proof. So either, the new mom can have a zero proof one if she's breastfeeding, something like that. And then maybe the dad, if the dad wants something a little bit stronger, you can add some ampersand vodka, Esquire malt dry vermouth to go along with the lavender, chilled vanilla tea, lemon juice, egg white. Really nice cocktail. Very frothy because the egg white. So delicious with or without alcohol. So that's what we'll say for that occasion.
That sounds great. Okay. Divorce party.
Divorce party. I'm definitely gonna go with something on the stronger side here. Not that not that you need a strong drink in this case, but seems like a good opportunity to forget some of the things you want to leave behind. So let's go Bittersweet Symphony.
That's a good
It's named
name.
after a song from, yeah, like early 2000s song. I think the band was The Verve, and I think it was a
Yeah.
one-hit wonder, which, maybe that's how you might describe the relationship as well if you're divorced. It's got Odd Society Bittersweet Vermouth, citrus and ginger syrup, some nice local gin from Ampersand in the Cowichan Valley, and then a little bit of candied ginger, which is a bit sweet and spicy.
That sounds fantastic. Even if you're not getting divorced.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Going on a honeymoon.
Honeymoon, and just like to all the listeners out there, I did not prep me for any of these questions. So I love where you're going here. This game's a lot of fun. But honeymoon, I'm thinking something tropical. We've got a couple of fun tropical cocktails on our menu. I'm gonna go with the pineapple Mai Tai, which is maybe one of my favorite cocktails on the menu, especially like summer, hot day. Mai Tais are delicious, but ours we add, so there's two types of rum and then Cointreau, which are kind of classic Mai Tai ingredients, but then we add a pineapple syrup in there as well. The pineapple syrup is just like so rich. And just like it really packs a punch. It's just so delicious and tastes like really fresh and really natural. And then we make our own orgeat, or some people call it orgeat. I've heard various pronunciations of this ingredient, but it's like an almond syrup with some orange flower water in it, and we make that from scratch as well. Some lime juice, some nice citrus elements. Really good tropical cocktail. Seems like something that would be enjoyed on a honeymoon.
I haven't had that one yet. I'm going to have to try it.
You should.
Yeah. Okay. Last customer profile, hangover.
Hangover. Well, I already said what I said about Caesars, so I think I can't really go that route. And there's no Caesars on our feature menu, which probably wouldn't surprise you after I kind of dissed them
Exactly.
earlier.
Yeah. That's your favorite brunch
Um,
spot.
I mean, I do love a Caesar. I just don't find them appropriate or necessary at weddings. We've got an espresso martini that can provide a little bit of a pick me up. And we used Tofino's vodka for that one, and then Sheringham makes a really nice coffee liqueur. And then we got some little bit of brown sugar and some cold brew in there. So it's good. It'd probably be a good morning cocktail. I don't necessarily endorse hair of the dog and getting back on the train the next day. It can provide some immediate relief, but I don't know if it is actually going to be the solution. So generally, I would say, a glass of water and a nap. But if we must, we can give somebody an espresso martini.
Fair enough. I know you mentioned Sheringham quite a bit, and we were at the gin library in the Azores, and they had a bottle of the Sheringham gin there. Was not expecting to see that from the island, but Yeah, there it was.
Good job sharing him. Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
like Empress Gin, of course, in different parts of the world on my own travels, but I didn't realize that Sheringham has made that much of an impression. I love their
Yeah,
stuff.
it's a pretty cool concept. You bring a bottle of gin from your country, and as long as they don't have it, you can trade it for a bottle of their gin.
Cool.
Yeah. Put it on your bucket list for travel in the off season.
Yeah, I've been near the Azores, but it has been on my radar, so I might ask you a bit more about that trip sometime.
That sounds good. Well, thank you so much, Andrew. Can you let us know about where people can find you? Anything that you have coming up that you'd like to share?
For sure. Yeah, website is twistvictoria.com. Instagram handle is at twistvictoria. You can always send an email to info@twistvictoria.com and I will read that and I will respond. Even if you just like have a question about cocktails or if you're not planning on using Twist for your wedding or your event, but you just want to ask about a cocktail, I will respond and I will give any recommendations that you might be looking for. I'm happy to just help. Anything that I'm going to go personal, that Sarah and I are going to go to Japan in 30 days from today, actually. And yeah, so that's what I'm most looking forward to personally, and checking out some cool Tokyo cocktail bars. From an event perspective, we've got tons of amazing events on the books for 2026, and I'm definitely looking forward to those. And yeah, just seeing what all the magic that happens this year.
Fantastic. Well, I hope you have a great time in Japan. Only a month to go. That's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, yeah, looking forward to that.
All right. Well, we will see you at the next event. Thank you so much for joining today.
Yeah, thanks, Rad. Appreciate you having us.
We are so lucky to have so many talented vendors on the island. Again, a huge thank you to Andrew for taking the time to be on the podcast. I am very excited to welcome an international guest next week. Stay tuned for more on that. And in the meantime, stay rad.
Can you get into the funk tonight? Can you stomp to the beat and sway to the right? Can you feel it deep down in your soul? Can you dance to the rhythm and lose control? Can you let it move you, let it choose you? Get in the funk and the funk will flow through you. Up and down, you'll be bouncing like a yo-yo, feeling frisky, dancing at the disco. Let's get up and dance. You got me bounce, 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 bouncing like a yo-yo. Can you feel my heartbeat fast? Can you make the moment last? Can I hold you in my trance? My cannon fire in my magic dance. I really groove you. I wanna choose you. Pull up a seat and watch the music move you. Getting lost in the moment, we'll go crazy for each other.